Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow good stories. She awoke fully, realizing she had sold her London townhouse to pay off debts. From a distance, she noticed soldiers casually walking down the street, each one filled with the fervor of serving their country. But all Madelyn could feel was sadness for them. After the conflicts between Germany, Russia, and now England's involvement, the whole world seemed to be plunging into chaos. Patriotism ran high as throngs of young men eagerly volunteered for the front lines, while those who didn't fight were branded as cowards. The self-sacrificing soldiers were hailed as heroes, much like Madelyn had been in her past life, though they didn't realize what they were truly giving up in the name of patriotism. Madelyn sat, feeling disillusioned and empty, pondering the futility of it all. Anne and I, there's nothing left between us now. I should forget about this. Suddenly, the door to the room burst open, and the Baron stormed in, shouting like a madman, his voice filled with rage. "Madelyn, you foolish girl!" her father screamed. Madelyn merely frowned, looking at him with a mix of disdain and pity as she observed his ragged and disheveled state. "Drunk again, father?" she asked, her voice calm but filled with a quiet reproach. "So what if I'm drunk?" her father roared, his words slurred. "We're living in poverty, and it's all because of you. That's why I have to drink this filthy, cheap liquor that tastes like sewer water to forget it all. If only you had agreed to that marriage proposal, we wouldn't be living like this." Madelyn sighed deeply, her weariness apparent. "Father, please calm down. I've already sold the townhouse. We need to find a new place to live." Her father's body went rigid. "What did you say?" he stammered, his voice suddenly soft and trembling. "You sold what?" "I've already told you about this, father," she said, resigned. "So please, don't mention that marriage again." Smack. The clean cloth Madelyn had been holding was knocked from her hand by her father, landing in a pool of spilled red wine. His voice rose, louder and louder, echoing throughout the house. "Fine, forget it. I don't need a disobedient daughter like you anyway. From this moment, you are no longer my daughter. I'd rather not have you at all," he screamed. Madelyn's heart felt as if it had frozen. "Now I understand," she thought, her eyes dull with acceptance. "The man I called father has never loved me." This was inevitable. Her father continued to point at her, hurling cruel words and insults. Madelyn turned away, her face emotionless. She quietly left, her footsteps heavy with the weight of his words. "After all, Ian will go to war. Our past and our present, they cannot be changed by fate. If this truly is the last time I see him, should I tell him that?" Flash. A bolt of lightning streaked across the sky above the grand Nottingham estate. In one of its rooms, Ian was writhing in pain as the electric shocks pulsed through his body. His entire being trembled and weakened. Dr. Arlington stood by, monitoring him closely throughout the process. It was during this time, when Madelyn was 27 years old in her previous life, that she had to witness her husband endure the unbearable agony brought on by the treatments. Though Madelyn's heart ached for him, she was powerless to do anything but trust the doctor. After each session, she would tend to him, soothing him as he lay there, his once vivid green eyes dull and weary from exhaustion. "I woke you up, didn't I? I'm so sorry," she whispered softly, sitting by his side. Ian, forcing a weak smile, replied, "It's all right, I'm fine." Madelyn hesitated before speaking again. "This treatment, it's horrible, isn't it?" "You mean, the therapy?" Ian managed to continue. "I have to get better. I can't keep living like this. I have to get through this." Madelyn smiled, her heart swelling with hope. Both she and Ian placed their faith in Dr. Arlington. He was a respected member of the Royal Medical Association, and there was hope that his treatments would help others too, through the healing of Ian. This was the most advanced therapy of the time, and both Madelyn and Ian hoped that it would prove effective. Ian again drifted into a dreamy sleep. Watching him treat her so gently, Madelyn couldn't help but feel warmth in her heart. "Madam, may I disturb you for a moment? I have a few things to discuss with you about your husband's condition," the doctor said softly. According to Dr. Arlington, Ian was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and the latest treatment was somewhat gruesome. Patients were subjected to electric shocks, stronger than the original trauma, to paralyze them. "Do you remember when I explained this to you before?" Madelyn nodded gently. War heroes like him often endured such excruciating pain, even though this therapy was still in its experimental stage. However, the majority of patients no longer experienced any symptoms afterward. Madelyn sighed in relief. I don't know how to thank you, doctor. Dr. Allington humbly replied, it's simply my duty as a physician. But there is something I need you to do during the treatment, please. Do not approach the Earl. He must be left alone to confront this on his own. You see, this therapy is much like amputating a diseased limb. Once it's gone, it cannot be delayed. Madelyn's thoughts returned to when she had urged Ian to attend the movie screening. The horrific sight of him seizing after hearing the fireworks haunted her. She deeply regretted asking him to join her. Dr. Allington emphasized, the worst thing you can do during this process is indulge the patient. From now on, all communication between you and Ian must go through me. I will, in turn, provide you with updates on his progress every week. The electric device continued to operate, and Ian gritted his teeth, enduring the excruciating pain caused by the machine. Meanwhile, remained indifferent, urging him, you must endure this, at least for your wife's sake. She's so fragile. Yet she's been taking care of you so attentively. Her suffering, tormented husband. You must become a husband worthy of her. Once you overcome this without anyone's help, the real treatment begins. Ian shuddered as he looked at the sharp needle, his cries echoing through the entire manor. Each time was the same. The treatment was terrifying and ghastly. In his past life, he had put too much trust in Dr. Allington, believing that Ian's screams were signs of improvement. While his episodes had decreased, Ian was gradually becoming more emotionally numb. Ian, he suddenly stopped at the sound of his wife's voice. Would you like to let some light into this room? It's a beautiful day, she suggested. Ian replied coldly, no need. Besides, you're distracting me. Leave the room. Did I do something wrong? She asked, hesitant. Ian curtly responded, no. Madelyn faltered, oh good. I just wanted to borrow a book. At that, Ian's face turned sour. Didn't you hear me? I told you to leave. His cold words pierced her heart. All the tenderness and love from before seemed completely gone. From now on, stay out of my study, he added, as if all the warmth between them had evaporated into a mere dream. One day, Madelyn went to see the doctor, anxiously asking, are you sure he's making progress? Seeing Madelyn's dissatisfaction, Con Neo added, I want you to explain more because I don't quite understand this field. Didn't say much, instead handing her a book on the Earl's mental state. He hoped she could learn more about medicine. I see a great deal of potential in you, madam. You've been taking care of the Earl with such discipline, following all the doctor's instructions. I have high hopes for you. I'd like you to become my assistant nurse. Madelyn, surprised, exclaimed, an assistant nurse? Doctor was straightforward. Yes, madam. You see, the chances of the Earl's full recovery are very low if things continue this way. Madelyn was shocked. What do you mean? We've placed all our trust in you. Dr. Allington remained calm. What I mean is that he will not recover in the way you hope, madam. Madelyn was stunned. What? How can that be? Dr. Allington explained further. He will no longer have seizures. The illness has been treated. But don't you feel troubled having to deal with him like this? That's why I'm offering you this chance to leave with me and free yourself. You can become a nurse. What do you think? You have a lot of talent. Don't waste it by staying here, acting like the perfect wife. Consider it revenge against the Earl for trapping you here. You'll be able to learn whatever you want, and I'll help you. So, leave this place and come with me. This conversation was accidentally overheard by a maid. Are you sure about that? I'm sure. I saw it with my own eyes. That Dr. Allington tried to persuade Madam to run away with him. My God, it's scandalous. And how did Madam respond? She didn't say anything. Oh Lord, how could she even consider such a thing? She should be grateful. It's only because of the Earl that she's been living so well. The maids continued whispering about their lady's disgrace. Since when did those two get so close? Madam hasn't left the estate in years, right? If he's made an offer, there must be something going on. Little did they know, someone was standing outside, listening to their gossip. One of the maids lowered her voice and murmured, it must have been from that time, right? Do you remember when Madam left the estate 2 years ago? Maybe they've known each other since then. If that's true, then she's a terrible woman, another maid exclaimed. Oh, how horrible this must be for the Lord. These words struck directly at Ian's pride. His hand trembled as he gripped the cane tightly, suppressing the humiliation and rage. That evening, Ian locked himself in his room and quietly drank strong liquor. Madelyn is planning to leave me? How could she? I've always fulfilled my duties as her husband. In fact, I've done more than I thought I could. I did everything for her warmth. But that smile, it was all fake, wasn't it? Ian fell into despair. When did I start to crumble? Think back. Before, every time she saw me, her face would darken. When did she gain the courage to come closer to me? Ah, it was the dog, wasn't it? That day, I went looking for it and caught a cold. I told Sebastian not to tell anyone, but she was there. So why? What was she thinking when she saw me unconscious? Did she think I was someone who could die at any moment? Is that why she called for that doctor? She lied about not having seen that movie, didn't she? She must have invited those people just to stage a performance for me to watch. She's always watching me, seeing how I suffer. Is she waiting for the right moment to escape from this monstrous husband of hers? A knock on the door interrupted Ian's spiraling thoughts. He glanced down at his trembling hands, feeling disgusted with himself. It's me. May I come in for a moment? Madelyn noticed the smell of alcohol and stepped closer. Are you drinking? Is that all right? Dr. Arlington said you should limit alcohol, she asked cautiously. The moment that name was uttered, Ian flinched, jealousy surging within him. That cursed doctor again. Even you want to become my doctor now? Why are you becoming more and more like him? Madelyn protested. No, I'm just worried about you. Ian, hearing this, grew irritated. He exploded in anger, shouting, I am the master of this estate. Why should I listen to you? If I want to drink, that's my right. Madelyn tried to explain. That's not what I meant. Your treatment is almost over, and I don't want you to fall ill again. But Ian's mind was nearly shattered. In front of him, Madelyn's image overlapped with the shadow of another man. As soon as you're well, Doctor, Arlington will leave, won't he? The other man snickered, and he'll take me with him. By then, Ian could no longer hear Madelyn's words. The shadow of the other man clung to her, taunting him. I don't want to stay with a monster like you. Every time I touch you, it feels like my skin is rotting. You disgust me. Do you think I enjoy being here because of your precious money? Don't forget, that's all you have. Why would a beautiful woman like me stay with a grotesque creature like you? Ian violently brushed Madelyn's hand aside, and then, in cold, heart-piercing words, said, Go back to your room immediately. Madelyn, utterly shocked, asked, What? Ian continued his cruel words. You understand your position, don't you? You were sold to me. If it weren't for me, you'd be starving on the streets by now. So, go back to your room and behave like a proper Countess of Shadow. After delivering those venomous words, Ian left, the door slamming shut with a loud bang, causing Madelyn to tremble. That day, it poured rain. Madelyn sat in her room, deeply reflecting on Ian's words. How could he say such things? I know he's sick, but how long can I endure this? I'm so exhausted. Suddenly, the door knocked. It was Dr. Arlington. He wanted to speak privately with her. Here's the weekly health report on the Lord. His response to the electroshock therapy hasn't raised any issues, so he'll only need a few more treatments, Dr. Arlington explained. Madelyn thanked the doctor, but hesitated. You could have met me in the drawing room. Why did you come to my private chambers? Dr. Arlington adjusted his glasses and responded calmly. I apologize for the intrusion, but I don't have much time. I'll be leaving today, as the Lord has requested. Have you thought about my offer? Madelyn hesitated. Dr. Arlington pressed further. I've told you many times, madam. You have great potential, and you can do whatever you wish. He grasped her shoulders, trying to persuade her. The world outside this manor is changing every day. You don't need to force yourself to be a wife anymore. Leave behind those old-fashioned thoughts and come with me. Madelyn quickly pushed him away. This isn't good for my husband. Besides, his condition could worsen. Dr. Arlington cruelly threw cold water on her concerns. You still think you can become his beloved wife? Huh. Look at reality. Madelyn, the Earl has already started drinking again. He completely ignores the doctor's advice not to drink. Forgive me for being blunt, but he is neither a proper patient nor much of a man anymore. Stop it. Madelyn shouted, refusing to accept the truth. Please, stop criticizing us. Dr. Arlington sighed. Oh, poor Madelyn. Do you really think you'll have another chance to escape? I will be the last one to offer you a way out of here. Did you see the way the Earl sent me away? You don't even have the chance to leave anymore. Are you truly ignoring what I'm telling you? By now, Madelyn was wavering. Be honest with yourself, Madelyn. Are you really prepared to spend the rest of your life trapped in this manner? You won't be so cruel to yourself, will you? The only thing Ian Nottingham offers you in the name of love is chains, Dr. Arlington sneered. At that moment, Madelyn broke down, sobbing. I know everything. I want to go with you. Unbeknownst to them, Ian had overheard every word. His voice suddenly growled, making both of them jump. The terrifying monster that was Ian Nottingham finally revealed itself. Madelyn felt as though all the blood drained from her body. She frantically pushed Dr. Arlington's hand off her and stood still as Ian's shadow stretched long across the wall. So, Ian sneered, is my hideous appearance bothering you? Madelyn screamed in pain as Ian suddenly grabbed her wrist tightly. So you've been cheating on me, haven't you? That Baron has made you fall for him, hasn't he? What promises did he make to you? Ian shouted. Madelyn remembered the words Dr. Arlington had spoken to her. Oh, poor Madelyn. The only thing Ian Nottingham offers you in the name of love is chains. She gritted her teeth, cursing him silently. You have no idea how much I've suffered. Madelyn screamed. Look at what you're doing. I can't stay here a moment longer. Don't even think about stopping me. With a loud crash, Madelyn fell down the stairs. The tragedy of her past life had come to a close, and her fate in this life once again depended on him. Ian, are you there? Ian was surprised to hear his sister's loud knocking at the door. Ian, Isabel hurriedly called out. She's here. He looked stunned as she added, it's Madelyn Renfield, the one who rejected your proposal. A few hours earlier at the Nottingham estate, the 3 children of Earl Nottingham were deeply worried as they saw their mother emerge from the room with a despondent look on her face. Mother, how is father? One of them asked. The grief-stricken mother shook her head. He likely won't make it through the night, she replied. Ian spoke up. I'll try to delay my enlistment, mother. Even Eric was in pain, seeing his father's health deteriorate. If father passes away, and both of us go off to war, it'll be just you and Isabel left, he said. Isabel exclaimed. Can't you stay? Eric is exempt from military service, after all. Eric replied, it's my duty as a nobleman. Isabel shouted, that's nonsense. If you go to the front lines, you'll die like a dog. Their mother tried to calm her daughter down, but Eric sighed. As much as I wanted to be at the front, because of you, I've been reassigned to the reserves. It's humiliating. Isabel snapped back. You should be thankful I saved your life. And you too, Ian. You may be a fool, but take care of yourself, all right? Ian, knowing his sister's fiery temper, just nodded in agreement. Enough. Take care of mother and yourself, Isabel grumbled again, but this time, Eric stopped her. Tired of arguing with his sister, Eric excused himself and returned to his room. As Ian walked down the hallway, he thought to himself, it seems father won't survive the night. Once the funeral is over, I'll have to go to war. If I can't avoid my military duty, I'll just have to do whatever it takes to survive. Isabel will manage the estate while Eric and I are away, and that girl. He thought of Madelyn, furrowing his brow and pressing his temples as memories of her resurfaced. Ian mused, at first, I thought she was just an ordinary noblewoman, but each time we talked, I wanted to be with her more. Her smile stirred something in me, and it only pushed me further to settle her family's debts. I wanted to see her radiant smile once more, but now, none of that matters anymore. Suddenly, there was a loud knock at the door, followed by Isabel's voice calling out, Ian, are you in there? Outside, the rain poured down heavily. Madelyn stood there waiting for him, her whole body trembling from the cold. Lady Renfield, you truly don't know how to listen, do you? You said you were leaving, so why are you here now? Ian sarcastically remarked, paying no attention to decorum. Madelyn hesitated. I have something important to tell you. Ian mockingly replied, so important that you're willing to make a fool of yourself? Madelyn cried out, I know I look like a madwoman. I know I shouldn't be involved with you anymore. But Ian coldly interrupted, you're saying that again. Last time, when you rejected my proposal, you said the same thing. Madelyn hesitated. I heard you're enlisting. Ian, with indifference, responded. What strong gentleman wouldn't? She exclaimed. You really have to go? Ian suddenly moved in close to her, his face just inches from hers. Why? What does my choice have to do with you? Madelyn tried to stop him, You'll lose everything in that war. Her face showed clear signs of sorrow. That's all I wanted to say to you. Ian's hand trembled slightly at her touch. Madelyn pleaded, please, don't go. I know what you think of me. I've never done anything like this before, but please, don't go to that war. Ian, surprised, said, I thought you hated me. Madelyn replied, maybe, but I don't despise you. Ian scoffed. You're not sure. That's probably just pity. Madelyn insisted, even if it is, I truly don't want you to go. Ian coldly rejected her. Don't think that just because I proposed to you, you can stop me. This is a war. Facing danger is normal. I'm ready to sacrifice for this country. Do you think I'll change my mind? I'm not a fool. Ian suddenly grabbed her hand tightly and coldly said, you don't need to worry about me. That's enough. It's late. You should stay here tonight. Ian grabbed a lantern and headed back to the manor. Madelyn cried out, why did you propose to me? You said it wasn't because you loved me, right? I don't have any feelings for you either. So, neither of us has anything to lose. I'll do whatever it takes to become the person you want me to be. In return, promise me you won't go to that war. If we get married, I'll agree. I'll marry you. So, Madelyn once again agrees to marry Ian, on the condition that he stays and doesn't go to war. But will Ian accept her offer? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to stay tuned for Chapter 4 of the Manhwa, The Redemption of Earl Nottingham.